Hi everyone, I'm Roystan and I'm from E2E Mentorship Program, and in this video I will be teaching you about exception handling in Java. Let's get started. What is exception handling? You can say that it is an error that occurs during the execution of the program which will interrupt the normal flow of program. When an error or an interruption occurs, an exception object is created which contains the details about the exception like name and its description. There are two types of exceptions, checked exception and unchecked exceptions. What are checked exceptions? Checked exceptions occur during compile time. You can say that these are the errors that occur during the compile time of the program. They are the subclasses of the exception class. Some of the examples can be SQL exception or file not found exception. SQL exception is the one which provides information about database access error, and file not found exception occurs when we try to access a file that does not exist. These exceptions can be handled using a try catch block. Moving on to unchecked exceptions. These are the exceptions that are not checked during compile time. These occur during the runtime of the program. Some of the examples can be null pointer exception, which occurs when a program uses reference to the object set to null. Then array index out of bound exception, which occurs when an array is accessed with an illegal index. Then one more example can be arithmetic exception, which is occurred when a wrong mathematical or arithmetic operator appears during the runtime. For example, if you try to divide a number by 0, it will throw an arithmetic exception. Unchecked exceptions need not be handled specifically like checked exceptions. Alright, let's move on to exception handling mechanism. Exceptions in Java can be handled using three keywords, that is try, catch, and finally. The try block. The code that may throw an exception is enclosed in a try block. So if you are writing a code which may throw an exception, enclose that using a try block. So if an exception occurs, catch block will catch that appropriate exception and handle it, or else the code inside the try block will be executed. Then comes the catch block. As I mentioned earlier, the catch block will catch the exception thrown by the try block. It specifies the type of exception it can catch and the code to be executed when the specified exception occurs. So whenever you mention a type of exception, if that exception occurs, it is caught by the specific catch block and it executes the code inside that catch block. You can also bind multiple catch blocks together so that it can catch different type of exceptions. Then comes the finally block. This is an optional block. So finally block will be executed even if the exception occurs or if it doesn't occur. So if you want to display some information or run specific code even if the exception occurs or not, then you enclose it in a finally block. This is how the syntax of try catch block looks. First comes the try block in which you have to write the code which may throw an exception. Then comes the catch block with the exception type. So you have to mention the exception type and handle it inside that catch block. As I mentioned earlier, you can add multiple exceptions. So here in this syntax, I have put two catch blocks just to specify how it looks. And then finally block will be executed even if the exception occurs or not. Alright, now let's consider a programming example. So here I'll be writing a program to divide two numbers. First, let's write the program to divide two numbers. We'll create a scanner to take a input. Scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. Alright, now let's enter our first number. the first number int, let's call it first num, is equal to sc dot next int. Then we'll take second number, enter second number, int second num is equal to sc dot next int. Alright, we'll create a variable result in which we will store the value of first number by second number. So the result of the division will be stored in a variable called result. Int result is equal to first num by second. Then let's print that result. Result is this result. Okay, now let's run this program. Let's enter the first number, maybe 10. Then we'll divide it by 2. The result is 5. Now let's run this program once again. So now I'll be trying to divide 10 by 0. This is an exception. If you look clearly, it is showing that arithmetic exception. It is throwing an arithmetic exception when you try to divide a number by 0. Now let's see how to handle this exception. Now enclose all this code within a try block. So let's put a try block here. Now all this code is inside the try block. So whenever it throws an exception, we will catch it using a catch block. We'll put a catch block here with arithmetic exception. Let's call it E. Whenever a arithmetic exception occurs, so whenever you try to divide that number by 0, it will be caught by this arithmetic exception, and maybe you can print a message here saying you cannot divide a number by 0. Alright, so now let's try the same thing once again. I'll enter the first number as 10, then second number as 0. If you see here, now it shows you cannot divide a number by 0. So that exception is caught by this catch block. Now let's try one more thing. Okay, we'll enter first number as 10 once again. Then maybe instead of entering a number, we'll enter something else, ABC. Once again, if you see here, it is throwing a different type of exception now. So if you see here, it is showing that input mismatch exception, because instead of entering a number, we have entered different characters like ABC. So if you enter something else other than a number, it will throw input mismatch exception. So now let's handle this exception as well. So I'll add one more catch block here. So input mismatch exception. Again, let's call it E. So maybe let's print one more statement saying please enter a number. Alright. Now if we try to divide a number by some character, it is asking us please enter a number. This is how exception handling works. Okay, so one more block is remaining, that is called finally. So let's add it here. We'll just put a print statement end of program. Okay, let's run the program now. We'll start with the normal division. We'll enter first number as 10, second as 2, result is 5, and if you see here, you can also see end of program. There was no exception, but this finally block is still getting executed. Finally block is executed even if there is exception or not. So let's run this program one more time. First number 10, second number 0. Okay, as it has caught the arithmetic exception here, and this one, and it is printing the statement you cannot divide a number by 0. Exception is caught, and also end of program is also displayed here. That is from the finally block. This is the try catch finally block with an example. That's it for this video. Hope you liked it. If there is any feedback, please feel free to put it in the comments. Until next time, see you.